Dear Venerable Sisters and Brothers, my friends, today also, the 19th July 2019, we are going to take time for the day's Dhamma talk. May everyone settle down for the talk and give the consent with 3 times sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Katame tayo dhamma vishesha bhagya tini kusala moolani ti. Dear Venerables, Dhamma friends, yesterday we introduced the subject for a yogi to understand what 3 things is conducive for our distinction and to make a remarkable change in our progress towards our final goal. Namely, the 3 roots of skillfulness. As far as they are continuing, our progress is assured and it's a distinctive changes are going to happen. So one has to recognize the 3 roots for the skillfulness, namely the lack of desire, lack of hatred and lack of ignorance. So knowing we may start with theoretical understanding. Listening and hearing these 3 things, the lack of 3 unwholesome roots means the presence of 3 wholesome roots. That very theoretical understanding is the beginning, but it is not enough. You have to put into practice, of course after contemplation, put it to practice and verify in this very life. So that is what we do basically, mainly in a residential retreat. Because we are day after day, day in, day out, we are in this mindful practice. So it is very systematically, it is being presented so that it is our duty to make it internalized, make it verified, and that may change according to our skillfulness, how much we are facilitating for that kind of thing. So yesterday I tried to relate that with our sitting meditation, whereby right from the beginning we take moral responsibilities not to break our precepts, 8 precepts. So that means give a kind of a confidence, I am not disturbing and hurting anyone. So therefore, in return, I also must not get any disturbances, because as far as I am not going to give any danger or any disturbances to others, fair enough me to decide, I also may not get any kind of a flashback or distractions, and we are naturally pushed into the places where safety is there. We call meditation centers, we call the forest, we call under a tree, or living in a solitude place. They are the most conducive places for people with morality. So we also will be attracted to that. So these places are fairly free of that kind of danger. So we make sure it. And on top of that, after we observing the precept, we are not just idling and whiling away our time. We try to practice in 3 ways. One thing, we sit and be mindful. The second thing is, we do little bit of volitional action like walking up and down and try to maintain the integrity in mindfulness. And third, in our normal day-to-day life, so to say, within the retreat. And so 3 ways we try how much we can keep our stream of consciousness free of hatred, free of desire, free of hatred and ignorance. Or with the root of with the potential of lack of desire, lack of hatred, and lack of ignorance. So that there are methods, there are systematic methods. Just like we are going into the sea, the water level slowly getting deeper and deeper and deeper. When you are entering into, if you wish, you can step into the wave, or otherwise you can away. Slowly, when you go there, if you feel like progressing, you can go as you like. So likewise, how much we can keep the stream of consciousness away from the desire, hatred and ignorance, it is measurable, tangible, verifiable. That is to say, when and where the stream of consciousness is here and now, that is the assurance. At that moment, no desire, no hatred, no ignorance. So in sitting, after the observing precepts, we come and sit, and to facilitate, to keep the mind in the present moment, we must give the maximum conducive conditions for the body to sit comfortably. That is common sense. You have to sit in a very comfortable way, and usually if you look at the statue of the Buddha, of course it is not the way the Buddha is sitting, this is what we think. But the statue came into being after about 1000 years later. But whatever may be, if you make yourself comfortable like that, mind has no explanation or excuses to say, no, I am uncomfortable, so I can't be with the body like. So you have to give it. It is your common sense. And alignments, you have to assure it, close your eyes and scan through your body and see whether you are sitting symmetrically. And in the day-to-day life, you will see you will never symmetrical. You don't care about your body. And how can the body can give the support? So therefore, in the day-to-day life also, but now I am talking only on that. Sitting, when you are sitting, you can see how awkward you are. You are not concerned about. That it means your basic alignments are not there. So basic alignments, when Jnanarama says, sit when the left side, right side must be balanced. And your limbs must be relaxed. And the body must be erect, not stiff, not regimenting. Then only the breathing can happen in the natural way. And this is, I would say, is a kind of a loving kindness to your body. Don't torture your body. All the day long you are torturing your body. You never in a balance. So whatever the job you do, you get the occupational diseases because your job is not balanced. Not a single job on the earth. Everything is imbalance. So when you are doing the job 20, 30 years, maybe sitting, end up with the question, end up with the disease, mental and physical. So here, there is no such a rush. We are not running to the train. We are not running anything. We are sit comfortably. And one thing is, it is very conducive for the mind to be here and now. Second thing is, occasionally we are with our body. Loving kindness, or friendliness, or metta. And hardly we give that kind of a consideration. So imagine now you sit down to bring our practice away further from the moral restraint to the concentration restraint. And when you sit, you feel you are symmetrically sitting and limbs are not stiff and the body is erect. And how many thought moments you can maintain that balance, that kind of mentality without pain or hate, without distracted by thoughts, without distracted by sounds. And when you try to observe it, of course in a meditation center like that, there may be less amount of sounds, less amount of pains, and less amount fantasizing, supposedly. And when it is there, how much you can keep the attention, mindfulness, awareness, experiencing this here and now. So how to verify whether I am experiencing the present moment? The one way is When and where mind is concerned, extrovert, outside world, past and the future, or other person, that means you are not here and now. So to prove, I am not with the past, not with the future, not with another person, not with another place, you may feel sometimes the metabolic action happening within the body. That's a very clear sign, my mind is here and now. So living body is having its own essential functions. The Buddha, after long years of experiment, he told, breath is the intrinsic nature of the living body. Without breath, it cannot. So therefore, even if you are not with the past, not with the future, not with other person, not with other places, and whenever such distracted thoughts or external distraction not there, bare minimum is the breath. But I know less than 30% people can feel the breath because it is so subtle. So therefore you have to find find alternative. That is why Maha came out with the expansion contraction. When you are wearing a cloth, you can feel as the in-breath happen against your clothings, you feel expansion. And the out-breath happen, the contraction can happen. So it can be confined to your abdomen or your body. So this is also another function or subsidiary function of the breath. And if you know as and when it happens, a very clear sign, mind is introvert. Mind is inside, not the outside. So you take this as a pivotal point. You take it as a benchmark. You take it as a temporary benchmark and see how many seconds, how many minutes you can keep the attention with this phenomena. Or to add one more, you may feel the touching point or your body weight as you sit. That's also happening here and now. So all the three are dynamic things. And when and where it happens, if the mind can be with it, one thing is mindfulness is assured, verifiably. Second thing is no raga, no dosa, no moha. There is no desire, no hatred, no ignorance. As I tried to mention, when and where you are face to face with the breath, there is nothing to be desired because the breath is the bare minimum character of your living body. So nothing to be happy about. As well as there is nothing to hate because it is our most nearest friend throughout our life. So therefore no hatred also. When the in-breath happens, if you know it is in-breath, not the out-breath, that means you are clear in your mind, no ignorance. As and when and where the out-breath happens, no in-breath, that you are sure. And still you can further, you can see, I am not in the past, not in the future, not with others, not with other places, because I feel here, verily, in-breath, out-breath. That means no bewilderment, no fantasizing, no thinking is happening. So it's a very clear sign in sitting meditation, as and when you are face to face with your pivotal point, your benchmark, your primary object, under your very nose, you are mindful, you are aware, no raga, no dosa, no moha. This is very clear acid test to see whether you are physically and mentally fit to be a yogi. Imagine if someone can't even for a split second, even for one breath, cannot be with face-to-face with the in-breath and out-breath, or rising and falling, or you are sitting and touching points, that means your mind is sick. You are mentally not fit enough. Maybe due to the excruciating type of pain. Or mentally so distracted, deranged, or you are in panic attack, or any kind of mental attack. So such a person, he or she cannot bring the mind to such a simple, honest, innocent, direct touch. So when and where the yogis start reporting, If he or she can say, Bhante, I am going to talk about sitting meditation, I sat comfortably and I make myself symmetrical and relaxed, and when I pay my attention to the present moment, I see this and that. That explains so much of things. That explains he or she can cut across all the defilements and go to the bedrock and say, I feel the in-breath, I feel the out-breath. So that means at that very moment, he or she is enlightened. But the report must be crystal clear. No nonsense. I have to tell, I am talking this and this is what I do, this is what I experience. So that indicates your communication with the teacher is started. And that is more than 50% of your meditation. So I am going to do further. Now, if you are believing it, if you are ready to accept it, if you know it is kind of inferentially, or you can deduce this one of the direct touch with the present moment, that's a clear indication mind or the stream of consciousness is free from desire, free from hatred and free from ignorance. But, as I try to mention, at that very moment, that very particular yogi, if it is a beginner, if he is a beginner, cannot verify my mind is free from desire, hatred and ignorance, because that is contemplative, that is deductive, that is distracting from the simplicity. So therefore, who Pandita Sayadaw is asking, is it justifiable to give such a task, such a grave task, such a complicated task to the beginner? It is so sharp, so demanding, but he or she cannot for the moment second this idea, because he or she cannot verify that very idea. But teachers impose it. Not only you must sit, not only you experience, you have to tell, you have to report very sharply. Otherwise, you will take it superficial way, you just sit and say, I have meditated 17 years, 18 years, still I do not get this and that. Sure, you won't get. Because even for split second you are not cut through. So that is why Sayadaw says, sorry, it's unfair from the beginner's point of view, so we give clear instructions. You must not only sit, you must not only follow the instruction, you must, but also report it in a clear way. There are 4 kinds of yogis. Some people understand this and clearly can report. They are the fastest. They are few hours time they get through. There are some other yogis, they are fairly good in sitting, but they don't know how to report. And therefore communication never happens, so he or she do not know whether I am on the correct path or not. The teacher cannot help because communication is not there. And the third type is not in sitting. Instructions are not so understood properly, and reporting also bad. Very difficult. Even the teacher is trying best, very difficult, because he never get the instruction, never report. And these yogis do not get the instructions or never listen to instructions and never reports. Not a problem, of course, to the teacher, because they don't come to the retreat. They will go home and eat in the night and sleep. They never take instructions to there. So this talk is basically to the person who is properly meditating and do not know how to write. And the second person is do not know how to meditate and how to write. These two, the teacher is taking the responsibility and says, darling, if you got the instructions, this is the way of reporting. If you did not get the instruction, please listen to again and again, because it is coming not just out of blue. It is with the complete understanding of the theory. Therefore, it is going against parallel with the theory and practice. Please get the instruction. So, in the interviews, these two can clarify. And when and where you are about to reach the primary object or your pivotal point or your benchmark, you have to understand, if you hope you will not misunderstand, if I take the breath as the primary object or pivotal point or the benchmark, as and when the breath happens, you must be immediately with the breath. You must not be thinking how to write and what must be the breath and what it should be like. That means your mind is not directly going to the breath. So therefore you must be face to face with the breath. And not wobbling around how to write, how to write, is my breath the primary object, or rising and falling the primary object, or touching and sitting in the primary object. If these things are happening, that means your mind is not sharp enough to the object. Of course, you are cut off from the rest of the world, not the past, not the future, not the other places, not the other people. But within, you create problems. So that also, if it is happening, please report. Answer is very short, very clear, very direct. So that can be answered, but if you are entertaining doubts, that means you are not sharp enough. So, to avoid it, the commentator they says, whenever mindfulness sets in, it has apilapana lakkana, it is not wobbling, it is penetrating sharp into the object. It says, if it is wobbling or is just floating superficially, just like if you throw a cork or piece of rigiform to the water, it is superficially go with the wind current and wobbling. But instead, if you put a piece of iron, if you put a piece of rock, immediately penetrate and then percolate to the bottom of the water body. So that difference, according to your report, the listener can understand. You are talking about the many objects and wobbling here and there, or sharp penetrating into your primary object, and that the yogi only can observe. Yogi only can report. The reporting sharpness says not wobbling, apilapana lakkana. Pilapana means just wobbling and superficial. Apilapana means not superficial, penetrating. And visyabhimukha bhava pachupatta. You are try to keep always with that particular object. Not that outside distractions are not there, but you try to keep, just like when you are driving, try to keep the attention with the windscreen. Don't look here and there all the time, then you end up with accident. Not only for you, even the pedestrians are in trouble. So if you are going to drive the car by looking at the side windows and side mirror, better to buy and give helmets to the pedestrians rather than you. If you are a motorcyclist or you're driving, whatever may be, if you are going to... So, it's very simple. Not that there are no windows and the side mirrors. They are there. There is a very limited usage, but you must always keep. Maybe people talking behind, maybe people asking your support, but if you miss the chance, all your people traveling are in trouble. So likewise, visyabhimukha bhava pachupattana. So in the first report itself, onward itself, you understand this is the reliable object. I can repeatedly go there. And that object also recurrent one. An object also neutral one. Unless otherwise you fear the attention, mind is not happy to be with the breath. That is why the Buddha has to come. Buddha has to come and tell, if you wish to be away from the raga dosa moha, lobha dosa moha, select an object which is neutral, recurrent, and be with it. Whenever you be with it, you understand not only you penetrate it, you percolate it, you go deep into the object. That penetration, that going into object and the penetration is, of course, not to your credit. Your thing is to pierce into the object. So therefore, apilapana lakkana, and then visyabhimukha pachupattana. Again and again, you have to do this action of adverting of your mind to the particular object is called vitakka, or adverting or applying thoughts, and whether you do it or not, each and every thought moment, that mental factor is there. It either pull you into the primary object or astray, bewilderment, or whatever the object. Whenever it is away from this pivotal point, whenever it is away from this benchmark, it is with raga, it is with dosa, it is with moha. So it is your duty, surrounded by so much of other desirable objects, so you keep on practicing the neutral object. Practicing you are applying to the repetitive, recurrent object, applying to the equanimous object. There you have to have a theoretical backing, because why I am applying is, if it is not so, if it is unmindful, if it is absent-minded, not absent, unmindful, that means mind is happy with desire, happy with hatred, happy with ignorance. So now you have fair chance. So it is utter responsibility of the yogi. You can decide your next moment, you can decide the future by selecting this neutral object. So they are the keeping the object in view with, keeping the object at your eye shot, is the part we call restraint. All the other objects are always penetrating and try to pull you out. Imagine if you are at home, if you are in a dinner party, if you are in a birthday party, or if you are in a supermarket, what a kind of thing. That is why you must not go to that kind of place. Here, there may be a certain amount of distractions, of course. But amidst of that, Visyabhimukha Pachupattana, try to keep the safety or assured object or neutral object face to face it. So much so, you are distinct. Your stream of consciousness is now so distinctive, because even though surrounded by so much of charged, pregnant objects, you just keep it with the neutral object. It is not a mere happening, it is due to your vitakka. It is due to your applying thoughts. And each time, the applying thoughts go to the primary object, the safety object. It is not only just go there and come back, vichara is happening. The inquiring happen whether I am going to the object which is no lobha, no dosa, no moha, or my object is, my meditation is, my mindfulness is running out of it and associating with something juicy, something sappy, something raga, something dosa, something moha. So therefore, vitakka vichara, the function of this mental concomitants or mental factors working very like a couplets. Whenever mind is applied to particular object, the vichara is tasting it, touching it, and report it is without raga, lobha dosa moha, or with lobha dosa moha. That part is called wisdom. That part is called out of mindfulness. Mind is freely associating the object and say, this is with desire, this is without desire. This is with hatred, this is without hatred. This I know this particular object on the spot, not the out-breath but in-breath. But whenever it is with the external thing, you don't know which one comes and which one goes. So therefore, the vitakka vichara, when it is working, if you wish to keep one more breath, if you wish to keep one more left and the right, or if you wish to keep one or more in rising and falling, it says, commentators, they say, tirasanya padatthana. You have to note it. To facilitate your applying thought, you note it. In-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath. More and more you note, the mind goes to that noted object is a kind of a mental character rather than the unnoted object. It says in the Sayadaw, when he's explaining, he says, as we children, school children, when we go to the school, in our school, At the beginning of the second period, class teacher comes and mark absent presence. Call by name. So if I am present, I have to put the hand up. If I am not present, the teacher look at, say, mark absent. So instead of Sarat, Nimal can't raise the hand because teacher knows each one. If she is a Sarat, Sarat has to put the hand. So at the end of the class, 30-35 people, children, mark, tuck, 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 tuck. So calling is the way. When calling, if you put the hand. If you are not calling your name, you won't put the hand. Likewise, if you note in-breath has kind of a tendency, kind of a leniency to be face-to-face. When the out-breath happens, if you call it by out-breath, it becomes tamed. It becomes docile. You can keep it with it. So therefore, this noting, the labeling, or vitakka, is highly appreciated in a specialized aspect in Mahasi system. And when other people are criticizing Mahasi system, this is what kind of a thing? We are adding more tasks into a meditation, noting. Who told? The Buddha never told. That kind of a thing. So who told me? So first day when Venerable Dhammika gave me the book, Power of Mindfulness, I read only the Sinhala translation. And there's one subtopic called naming and labeling. I reacted. I told Bandhu, what is this? That the calling by name, it is not meditation. It is kind of mantra. These days, yes, many people are reacting to this naming and labeling. Do it if it is useful. Use it for utility value. If the mind is naturally going to the object, nothing to worry. In the university, the teacher passes a paper and everyone to sign. And teacher take the paper and go. But I can sign for my friend. And teacher never count number. And teacher also happy to have more numbers. So you are not calling by name. You sign it and the teacher go and present it to his boss. But it is just, anyone can sign for anything. So here, labeling on the spot, the red hot, when it is happening, if you're noting, you can use it as a tool. That is called Thero sanya padattana. You fix it. My mind, so much of objects are there. My mind is to the in-breath. My mind is the out-breath. Again in-breath. Again out-breath. Likewise, you can note it, but that does not mean you are verbalizing it. Mentally you can note. And when and where it happens, when the mind is face-to-face with the primary object, there's a kind of a magnetic, there's a kind of a momentum develops. More you keep the one in-breath after in-breath, when you keep on practicing, the Buddha says, Sabbakaya padisangvedi asasisamiti sikkati. The Buddha says, now darling is the time to see the breath from the beginning through the middle to the end. Whenever next in-breath happens, see from the beginning to the middle to the end. When the next in-breath happens, that means your mindfulness is very specialized. Just like when you gong the bell, you have to see to the end of sound. And when the sound wave starts, you have to see the just arising from the sound. So like as when you see, you are bound to see all phenomena in the world has three characteristics. It has its own specific beginning. It has its characteristic, the intrinsic middle to separate from the other, and individual specific end. Millions and billions objects are there, but each and every phenomena is beginning, the middle and the end there. So whenever you try to see not only face-to-face with the primary object, but to see from the beginning to the middle to the end, we are very technical. Very technical. It is too much for a beginner. Sure. But that is the way you have been guided. You have been funneled to see the object. And when it is continuously, when in-breath after in-breath, then you can see the nuances. You can see the shades of meaning First in-breath versus second in-breath. Second in-breath versus third in-breath. Third in-breath versus fourth in-breath. It is becoming desirable or undesirable. Long or short. Gross or subtle. So at the beginning you see the in-breath. It is called the shape of the in-breath. When you are to see consecutively, not only the shape, you can see the manner, the behavior, the character type of the in-breath, and it is becoming a chronological study. Now, study is two dimension. One thing is you see each and every in-breath is separate from out-breath. Separate from the other past, future and other people, other places. But on top of that, this in-breath to next in-breath to the other in-breath, there's another dimension that is we call manner. And that is all you have to do. For any object, that's all you have to do. When and where you see the shape and the manner, you see the personal characteristic, intrinsic characteristic of the in-breath, equally the out-breath. So there you see, no in-breaths are equal. Even if you take two in-breaths, at the beginning, at the gross level, before meditation, in-breath is in-breath. Now you can see what different manners of the in-breath can happen. Sometimes it will be becoming calm and becoming subtle. Sometimes it becomes very gross. Sometimes you are so happy because I can see in-breath after in-breath. Sometimes you feel so boring. What the hell this in-breath is observing one after the other? So how can we be enlightened by looking at this air? No, that cannot be. You feel bored, you feel monotonous, you feel hateful. So these are the characteristics happening, or your mind gets charged. When you keep on observing, so there are 11 facets. The Buddha mentioned, whatever may be the phenomena, may be physicality, may be mentality, it has the past, future and the presence. As and when it happens, you can see the beginning, the middle and the end. That means you are just chronologically going with the breath, under your very nose. Sometimes you comes to know after absent-minded, come and again awakening into the breath and see it was not there, now only it came like. Sometimes you can see fading of breath. So likewise it has different modes, the time dimension. Past, future and the present. Gross and the subtle. Desirable and undesirable. In and out. Close and far. So nowadays physicists start talking about the 11 dimension. At the beginning when we are going to school we had 3 dimensions. The height, width and the length. And then they add the 4th dimension, 4th are the reality. So we thought that the 4th are is nonsense, and this is tangible. Height and the length and the breadth. And now they went into different dimension and they are also talking 11 dimension. I don't see any relationship between what the Buddha mentioned and what the quantum physicists are talking about. But both the Buddha as well as the quantum physicists, they say time and space dimension. Time-wise 3, space-wise 8. So when you are to observe in-breath to in-breath, out-breath to out-breath, in a sitting posture, without much of distraction of sound and the thought and the pain, if you can see the difference, that is called its true nature. That's called the Sabhava Lakkhana. So then only you will understand, even though you are claiming that you have seen the breath, but if you are to see the manner and how different dimensions happen, you can understand out of these 11 dimensions, 6 you hate, 5 you desire. So therefore, whenever the breath appears in an undesirable form, you think your mindfulness is wrong. You think, I am wrong. No. Breath, there is a one dimension, it is not desirable. But still the breath. And sometimes very gross. Some people find it is very nasty and it is not good. Subtle is best. But some people find the gross is easier to catch, but the subtle you can't catch. So, some people happy with the gross, some people not happy with the gross. Some people are happy when it is happening at the nostril, at the epidermis level. And sometimes it is feel like going into your brain, center of the brain it is happening. Dislodge. Sometimes going away from it. So when that happens, some people think this is imaginary. This is something conceptual. How the hell that breath can happen? Because at the beginning you note the end of the nose, and when you close your eyes, the whole dimension disappears. Sometimes go forward, sometimes go inward. Far and close. And you are not breathing, someone is breathing in a 2-3 meters away from. These, when they happen, if you are not listening, if you are not educated, you always try to reject. So whenever you learn, these 11 dimensions can happen, so therefore don't worry, just report. Breath happen, sometimes I feel like it's going into the brain, center of the brain, sometimes going away from, sometimes far away, sometimes very close, sometimes very desirable, sometimes quite undesirable, sometimes gross, sometimes they are space dimension. So when this happens, you are with the true nature. It is called Sabhava Lakkana. That Sabhava Lakkana called Bhava Lakkana also. Whether you look at or not, this is the way the breath is happening. When you are observing only, you can keep your stream of consciousness without lobha dosa moha. Otherwise, breath is happening, you are thinking about the past. You are thinking about the future. You value just like not just like looking at the breath. It is better to think about my children at home. It's better to think about the Kathina Pinkama I am going to do at the end of this Vasana. So you will see it is much, much valuable than the breath. And still though you call you are Buddhist. I feel very sorry. Because that is the way Venerable Dhammika told me. You are dreaming. You are fantasizing. And you claim Buddhist. And you are not mindful. At least you are not appreciating. So under this kind of atmosphere, we can talk about that. If I am going to talk about this in a radio talk, radio line also will be finished. I also will be finished when I go back my place. This is the way people make a business. Commodity. But that all pertaining, related with lobha dosa moha. But here, it is alobha dosa moha happening, and it is the verifiability. You can get so much of information about the in-breath and out-breath. It has no political value. It has no economical value. No social value. But this is a verification. That is called penetrating into the breath. If you take the rising and falling, you can penetrate into the rising and falling. I wish to talk how to get into the left and the right. I think this sitting meditation is easier to start with. And when it is happening, more and more you go to the Sabhava Lakkana. More and more you go to the depth of that. You see, you are utterly in a universal law. Now you are effective observer, vigilant observer, diligent observer, and see things are happening. And it is assuring more and more your stream of consciousness with Tini kusala moolani. You are skillful, distinctive, and no desire, no hatred, no ignorance. And you are supporting it, gathering the momentum. So when it is happening, the crucial thing is you must be on the spot to see the breath. If you wish to see after the breath, you are just talking nonsense. If you are expecting the breath to happen and you are talking nonsense, you have to be right on the breath. So Mahasi Sayadaw is talking, writing in an evening like this. There may be some lightning. If you go to the tall business building and you can see some part of the sky, you can see lightning. And if you wish to see the electric shock, how it is going, you have to, on the spot you have to see. one thought moment before the lightning, you can't imagine what the kind of spark is going to happen. Immediately after also no signs. As and when the spark breaks, you can see what the kind of a spark happening. Otherwise you may see, you may tell, I have seen the spark, but you are imagining. You are daydreaming. So exactly like it is electric. It is on the spot. It is under your very nose. As the in-breath happens, it charges you. It gives the verification. It gives the evidence. And then you see the breath in the true nature. And that is the door opening to the wisdom. Whenever the true nature comes into being, that no imagining, that no expectation. And in incessant way, you observe as and when the in-breath happens, as and when the out-breath happens. So that kind of a thing we call concentration, restraint. Not let the mind to run away, not let the mind to bewilder, not let the mind to daydreaming, fantasizing, nothing. You observe, it's very difficult. It's not a joke. Because our mind is like a monkey mind. It's a mad monkey. It jump into other object without looking at it. Monkeys can jump in like that. So each and every one of us is with the monkey mind. And imagine monkey is jumping only to the in-breath or into the out-breath. No more you can say it's a monkey. You can say a monk. Monks and monkeys are very, very common in Nissarana. Wherever you go, where the monks are there, monkeys are there. It's a kind of a coincidence. So therefore, how a monkey become a monk? You're observing, applying, and I know it's unfair. You won't believe that you have this capacity. You won't believe that you have this potential. So imposing like, conditioning like. So the best teacher I found was Pandita Sayadaw. He says it is not so. Otherwise our mind is wobbling. Our mind is superficial. It take it so easy. So therefore now, if you accept it, next time when you sit, you know what to do. Take the object, whatever may be the prominent object. And it must be a repetitive one. It must be a neutral one. It's the equanimity in the taste. And apply again and again because it makes you distinct. Because all the three skillful roots are there. Because it is free of all the unskillful roots. So you see your potential. What a nice thing to be a human. What a nice thing to be a person with moral restraint. What a nice thing to be exposed to this kind of Dhamma. What a nice thing to be put into practice. And what a nice thing to be experienced bloody thing. First, as in-breath happens, you are there. As the out-breath happens, you are there. And the most difficult part is how to report. No one knows. I was there for 18 months in Panditarama. Daily, Sayadaw chased me out. Says, I can't understand what you are talking about. You are talking nonsense. Luckily or unluckily, I had 3 other Buddhist Sri Lankan monks. I have to translate their report. So I have to be in the interviews. So if Sayadaw going to sack me, all the 4 has to go. So therefore Sayadaw is little sympathetic, maybe to the other monks. So he told, what you are talking, I can't understand. For sure. Because I am a very good meditator. But I don't know how to report properly. So till that, imagine 18 months. You may catch it with 18 hours. You people are lucky in that sense. But what I am telling about my experience, and therefore no communication. So then Sayadaw, he has published Paving the Way. He called Yellow Book. And one monk came to my room and told, Bhante, I have seen. No, he was senior to me. I see you are very regular in practice, but daily get the blaming from the Sayadaw. Why don't you read this? Then I do, what nonsense, this is what I am doing. Sayadaw is asking, rising and falling, I am meditating with the in-breath and out-breath. That is the case. So you have gone to the Chinese hotel and asking, Japanese foods. This I don't know. At the end he says, where's your mind? I say, at the breath, get out. Next day also I very seriously make the report and go there and tell, blah, 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 I'm sitting and blah, blah, blah. Then where is your mind? I say, the breath, get out. So he has no time to bring me and give this thing. So he told, if you are living in Panditarama, talk in terms of rising and falling. Don't talk about the in-breath and out-breath. Then I told, how to? No. Instead of in-breath, try it rising. Instead of out-breath, try falling. Simple. So of course it's a huge two different things. But if you have to go to this court, you have to write the report in that, according to that legal language. So soon, of course, he teach me about the 3 characteristics, how to see the shape, how to see the manners, how to see natural characteristics. Very technical. And then slowly, Thero started and told, listen to this Dhamma talk, you see how difficult to people are, even they are very sincere, even they understand it. If you unreport it, very sorry. So that is what, whenever you see the shape, that's a very good invitation you to see the manners, the position of the object. Whenever you see the shape and the manner, you have to go to the object when the zoom out and see with so much of clarity. And there you can see the in-breath to in-breath there are changes. That is why the Buddha says, Rasang vasa santo, digang vasa santo, digang vasa samiti pajanati, rasang vasa santo, rasang vasa samiti pajanati. Earlier you see the long out-breath, in-breath, now you see the short in-breath. That means the in-breath to in-breath changes. That's a two-dimensional observation. It's possible, but it must be always systematic. See the shape, see the manners, and then the natural characteristics. Whenever you see the natural characteristics, mind is open for the wisdom. That is the point where the distinction going to happen. So far we have studied physics, we have studied chemistry, we have studied geography, biology, anything. But useless. Utterly talking about something outside. Extrovert. Exactly the tool. Introvert. And take one after the other. And when it is happening, you can see, as far as the other variables are fixed, that means your eyes are closed, no sounds, no smell, no taste, only the touch of this thing, and the mind also noting on the primary object, so that you can write a technical writing about when the mind focus to the life, intrinsic life feature, that is a kind of a cut across. As far as you are in this stream, no lobha, no dosa, no moha. And the very first thought moment you don't know, but after a few thought moments, after a few in-breaths or out-breaths, if you are well versed in the theory, you can understand the purification. Ekayano ayam bhikkave maggo sattanam visuddhya. This is the way the being get purified. That means you know how to monkey mind make a monk mind. The jumping mind make a monk-like mind. And it's possible, of course, for a short period. That you will be taking it as a hell of a burden, thinking that whole day you have to do. Of course you have to do. But at the beginning, have at least one axis, one subject, and apply it mindfully. And write it, report it, and you will understand more than a PhD. It is more than any academic achievement. This is something directly related to your life. And you have to do nothing to repeat it. Once you learn this art, repetitively you have to use it. And the moment you see the natural characteristic, that with the true nature, you see the flux. You see the santaki. It's a flux. Whether you observed or not, it's a flux. If you observe, you're on the bus. If you are not observing, you miss the bus. There is no second person involved. Because why you are not observing is Lobha Dosa Moha. You consider this is insignificant, other things are significant. That is because akusala mula. That is because unskillful roots. No more, only three. Desire, hatred, ignorance. So, once it is introduced, you know occasionally you can be free from desire, free from hatred, and free from ignorance. And through lack of ignorance only, the continuity happens. How much you appreciate it. How much that split second you are going to make it wider, make it diversified, and when and where it is gathering the momentum, you can see the breath up to the point, the breath means the whole universe. Whenever you see the 11 facets of the breath, you know whole universe. Instead if you see the whole universe, but you can't conclude it, that is what happened to the present day physics. It's extrovert. More and more you see all the facts about the universe, at home you are a fool to your wife. That is what happened to physics. They are very expert to the external world, but at home they don't have common sense. So they are talking about something irrelevant. But here, it's exactly the physics. Inward, when you observe it, you can see why other people also behave like that. Because they are not concerned about the present moment. They are with raga dosa moha. If you are concerned sometimes, you get aligned with this. And there you feel something distinctive. Something different. Something against the grain. You feel like going there and then and there. Without any time gap you can understand. But that kind of electric understanding happen for the people with thorough theory understanding. People with thorough deductive kind of a knowledge or inferential knowledge. And direct touch. Direct touch. The theory knowledge is very cheap. And holding them and comparing it and put into inferential knowledge is somewhat little difficult. And on top of that, experience is the most precious, important thing, and that can be verified and justified with your inferential knowledge. And when you go to the theory and you see this is what the Buddha is telling. But if you read the Buddha script without practice, you will get PhD and MSc and the diploma, but you become an idiot. You're wasting your time, no time for meditation. Well, you have to go to the lectures and you have to write thesis and all the kind of thing. But here it is, without any theory, if you just listen to the teacher and go into that, you can see it is penetrating. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. And the most important thing is, each and everyone is having this potential. Everyone is having this possibility, but no one is, they have their self-sympathy. They are not concerned about their well-being. They think concern about the others' well-being is much, much, much valuable than this tini kusala moola. That is what you call the idiotness. That is what you call the foolishness. Of course, to help others, you must be with the integrity, you must be with the healthy mind, then you can help others. So you justify yourself with much, you may justify it as compassion, but no wisdom. And some other kind of people are with so much of wisdom, they are not compassionate. So therefore you have to have the balance. But what here we are increasing the wisdom, and leave aside the compassionate task. You come to a meditation center, someone will give something you to eat, and don't worry about the household affairs and kind of thing. You be here. And when you go outside world, many people have vested interest. They impose the different responsibilities by themselves and worrying and shouting and doing and messing up the thing. That is called vested interest. But when compared to that, as and when the breath happen, focusing the attention of the breath, never happened by individual thinking. Only you have to listen to Buddha. And then only you have to put into practice. And while practicing, if you are not reporting, your knowledge will not get galvanized. It will not get reinforced. So therefore we are discussing, and when we are doing the common interviews, some people, when reporting it, the other may think in a positive way, constructive, yes, I also can do it. But even if you do it, if you can't report it in a proper way, you will not get the due encouragement, due immunity. But never you are too late. Later you can gain it, no problem. But the thing is, when it happens, immediately when you do it and report, distinctive. You understand something happened, something come across. And you, when and where you feel it, you say, yesterday I would have known this, yesterday I would have exposed to this, I am little too late, like you feel it, but never too late. Never too late, because you can practice again and again. It is the time, the space is utterly for you. Whole world is for you. This is a fully equipped laboratory, if you know how to use it. And when and where you give this laboratory conditions, sitting, closed eyes and no sounds and kind of thing, is the beginner. Is the where you no volitional activity, no willful action, no intentional thing you do, except observing the phenomena. So it is very sophisticated, it is very inside the laboratory like, very luxurious kind of thing. But mindfulness, you can't treat mindfulness so luxuriously throughout the day. So you have to, once the mindfulness developed, or once the mindfulness learned the art, how to keep the object in view with, and to penetrate. So same keeping the object view with and penetration capacity, slowly you can do while doing a simple task. Volitional activity, while doing a willful activity, while doing the intentional activity, and that is how we put this sitting posture and slowly get up and go into walking meditation. While doing walking meditation, your benchmark is no more the breath. Your eyes are open. You are in the outside. And you have to walk left leg, right leg. And you have to note left leg and right leg. You have to notice the characteristic of the left and the right. And it is almost like the noting in-breath and out-breath. But the in-breath and out-breath is happening from the involuntary muscles, whether you like it or not. But walking is not, it's voluntary. And when you keep on with the help of the mindfulness, with the help of your theory understanding and applying mind and the discursive mind, when you walk, how long will it take you to let the walking happen effortlessly? It then come in parallel with sitting meditation. Sitting meditation, everything happening, you observe. In the beginning of the walking, not so. You have to do it. And after a while you see if you are really conducive, if really factors are parallel and not contradictory, you see that you walk, that you can be aware, not that you are walking happens. And meanwhile, you can observe it. So early part is till it happen effortlessly, early part is the walking and sitting different atmospheres. But whenever the walking also going to happen, just like a breathing in the involuntary muscles, there you can see, here volitional activity happens, mindfulness completely cover it, but still you look at it as if you are a second, third person. You feel like you are observing someone walking like. So when that happens, you can see you like a guinea pig, or you like you put into a TV camera and take the clip and observe how was my walking. Just like in the cricket, you can see sometimes action replay slow motion. And there, when the out happens, you can clearly decide. Likewise, if you can action replay, if you have the very clear mind, mindfulness, action replay can happen. And you can slow motion, you can see how was the walking. Was it intentionally I am walking, or it's happening unintentionally? So let it happen. And then how to apply for such a volitional activity and still gain how the left leg versus right leg, how the left leg versus next left leg, how the continuity. And while it is happening, all of a sudden if the seeing thing happens, what will happen? Completely new thing. So for that you must be armed with mindfulness. You must be armed with keeping the object in view with and observing the chronological changes of the object. And meanwhile you let allow. Seeing happens, hearing happens. So I will take time tomorrow with the present knowledge to go into the walking and exposing to more challenges. And whether you take it as a hilarious, adventurous thing, or you consider as this a kind of a distraction, or it is a kind of a unlucky thing. So if you are very up to the mark in your sitting meditation and gain the word meaning of mindfulness and ready to go there, you can see from sitting to walking is kind of a promotion. But that does not indicate always you must start with the sitting to walk. But walking to sitting also can happen. That is what happened in my early days. So we are going to discuss it tomorrow. With that remark, I would like to sum up today's talk. Thank you very much for listening.